Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to the latest instalment of the CarpFix Live. Very pleased to have Lee Mozza Morris with us.
Cheers, mate.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Tonight's live, the main thing about our lives is to do an interactive Q&A with our members. So you get the opportunity to ask Lee, Scott, myself, whatever you want, carp fishing related, and we'll do our best to answer those questions for you. And if you ask a question that we deem that we really like, we're going to give you a prize just for asking a nice question. So we've got a set of mini micron.
That's the special prize that we're going to do tonight.
Special prize. It was a lastminute.com.
Yeah, we're gonna scroll through everyone that comments or leave a question.
Yeah, at the end.
Like all the way through, because
Yeah.
I'll see everyone's live comments. So everyone that leaves a comment, like you do on a Facebook giveaway or something,
Yeah.
you just scroll through the comments,
one.
and we just there's a little extra.
We've
never done it. So
little bone, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how it works.
We've also got 10 pots of DNA pop-ups to give away, and we will also be doing the draw for last month's CarpFix prize draw, which is 10 Corda large size compact camera bags. Very nice bits of kit. You'd have seen them in the Peckers Techers self-take video. But let's. I'm going to tee you up now, Mozza. What are we giving away on CarpFix next month?
Right, so obviously we've got DNA range here, which is the bug range, which is our newest bait out. This is now this stuff, the HydroSpod liquid is a really, really heavy liquid, which actually sits straight to the bottom.
Yeah.
So for this time of year, if you're using like maggots.
Yeah.
And you want to get them down to the bottom of the lake bed quickly, especially with the amount of swans and what have you that are about, it's ideal to actually put the maggots in the spod and then pour that over the top of them. Yeah, rather than pour it in a bucket of maggots and they go everywhere.
Would that, if you poured it on the maggots up front, would it cause them to float over time?
Not as far as I'm aware, no. But I don't tend to do that anyway. To be honest, I just put it in at the last thing, and then it just drags sort of a ball of them down to the bottom. If you see this sort of like the videos that we've done with this, if you pour it in the glass, it just sits to the bottom instantly. Yeah. So it's a nice heavy liquid that, a great one for the winter as well. Bait soaks, obvious thing for your hook baits and what have you. Liquid food, that tends to be a lot better on sort of your freebies sort of thing. Yes. So just to give them a bit more of a boost.
Baits, that for your free offerings.
That's for your free offerings, yeah. That you can pretty much do anything with your spod mixes and what have you. Yep. But ideally, maggots this time of year. Hook bait wise, obviously half tones, 12 millers there. Got two different colours in there. So obviously white and the pinks. We don't like saying washed out pink at DNA.
No,
that is a no-go. Yeah, half tone.
Okay.
Got dumbbell wafters there. There's two different sizes in there as well.
In the same pot?
In the same pot,
yeah.
And then obviously like your cork dust pop-ups. So, we tend to use cork dust in a lot of, the matcha hatch type ones as well. And that's the same with the wafters as well. So there's cork in those. I think there's pellets.
Yeah, bring them over.
Pellets as well.
Hold them up on your left-hand side of the mic. Just hold them up. Yeah, because I've got it on a close-up there. Hold them up a little bit.
A little bit more.
Yeah, that's it.
Got them there. Yeah. So obviously pellets, self-explanatory. Great for your solid bags and what have you. And then stick mix as well. Got that as well. Liquids are quite a good addition to have, obviously, with your stick mix. For me personally, I'd tend to use a liquid food with something like them. You don't need to mix, you don't need all these weird and wonderful potions that everyone else tends to use. Just use that with a bit of liquid food.
That's enough.
And that is enough. Yeah, definitely. So, and then with that, we've got 5 kilos of shelf life bug there, 15mm bug. I use tons of this throughout the winter and all year round. It's a lovely smell.
Can you smell it through the bag?
It smells like marzipan.
Marzipan.
It smells a little bit like marzipan?
Yeah.
Almondy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not because it's the bug. People tend to think it's going to be fish mealy sort of smell, but it's not. It's quite a unique smell for an insect meal bait. So that is, I believe, all of the prizes. Am I right in saying so?
Yeah, just to clarify, there'll be 5 winners. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of echo apparently. So try and keep
closer?
nice and just so we're not.
Okay.
Maybe turn just turn your mic towards you a little bit more as well. Yours is good.
Mine's good.
Mozza's, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay, so
we'll see, Mike.
5 winners that will each win 5 kilos of boilies, 1 kilo 4 ml pellets, 1 kilo stick mix, 1 litre of the hydro spod syrup, 250 ml of the liquid food, 250 ml of the bait soak, the 12 ml. What did he say not to say? Not half tones, I can't remember it.
No, it was half tones, not washed out pink.
Well, not washed out pink. Balanced cork dust dumbbells and 15 ml cork dust pop up. So a lovely prize there, worth over £100. So 5 winners, like I say, will each win themselves that little combination.
So Mozza, I think our latest video to go out was your vlog.
Yep.
So do you want to give people a little bit of an overview of some of the, like, CarpFix commercial fishery, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if people were going to go there, like, at this time of year, how would you approach going to somewhere like CarpFix?
I think now it's getting colder. Obviously, maggots are a must this time of year for most. Yeah, maggots are allowed there. Yeah. They're just hot on their barbless hooks over there, really, I believe. And no leg core stuff. I just use straight through on all the time anyway on most day tickets because they ban everything. So, I just tend to use leg clips straight through. Little mesh bags. On that vlog, I was washing lining on there, and if you can do that, it is an edge definitely. The last time I fished in that swim, the spot that I was fishing to is a really good spot from like 2 swims down, fishing towards it because the line lays a bit better. Yeah. So this time round, I decided to wash and line it, and it was my best rod, just because of getting the line out of the water.
I watched the video this morning. It was 3 or 4 takes on that rod, was it? Sorry. I'm having a conversation, Mozza, not talking to you guys.
Yeah, I could have had about 7. I kept getting done on it for some reason, which was a bit weird. And pulling it out the clip and everything, and just reading in nothing on the end, which was a bit annoying. But I think I landed 4 off of that. I had 7 bites, landed 4 up to mid-30, which is nice. Yeah. There's loads of giants in there. It's great for a winter bite over at CarpFix. So if you can get on there, it's busy. It is a busy pond.
What sort of swims or areas should they be looking for if they're going to go there this sort of time of year?
On the North Lake, you want to be this side of the island, which is the deeper end. So I think you've got 3 swims on one side before you start going past the island, and then 3 swims the other side before you start going past the island. Okay. So as you come up to the lake,
it's the first swims.
It's the first few swims. That's the deepest area in there. So ideally, you want to be up that end. They just tend to congregate in the middle. Or be happy in any of them swims. On that one.
What's the rough stock in there? How many fish? How big is the lake?
Well, I mean, the lake, I think it's about 9 acres, I think. That might be a bit kind. It might be about 6 acres. Right. But, mate, it's a good chance of 40-pounders this time of year from there. I mean, my mate Perry, who goes up there a lot, I think last year on one 48-hour trip, he had 640s.
Really?
That's pretty good.
640.
So,
is that Perry who used to fish Essex Manor?
Alabaster, yeah.
I have met him before.
Yeah, so, he slays it up there, to be fair. We were fishing, it could have been last winter, it might have been the winter before, and we were on the West Lake, which is a lake right down the bottom. There's quite a few ponds there. Yeah. And we struggled for 24 hours. He said, I know this spot on this other lake on Pullens by the gate. He said, I always catch a 40-pounder on there. Should we go on there? I'm like, oh, right, that sounds good. Yeah. He said, we'll fish 1 rod each right next to each other. I'm like, right, okay. He said, it's a territorial fish. He said, I have caught this fish twice before. I'm like, well, how big will it be at the minute? And he said, well, it might be 50 pounds. I'm like, let's go. So we're up there. Within an hour, he's had a bite. 49-pounder, the same fish. And both of our odds are like that, like a foot apart. And he ends up with his 40. Oh, it's burnt, proper burnt. But yeah, nice to see a 49-pounder on the bank. So they are quite territorial up there. Yeah. And I'm going on to Pullens next month, I believe, or this month. So I've got a trip on there sometime.
So there's the North Lake, Pullens.
There's quite a few lakes there. North Lake's got all the big ones in. Pullens got all the big ones in. The West Lake's got 50. Is it a mid-50 linear? Maybe, and that's a small pond. It's only a couple of acres, maybe 3 acres. Right, nice. That one. I think it's a small pond. Yeah. Well, that one, it's a bit hit and miss. That West Lake up there, but you'll know within 24 hours whether it's going to do. Yeah. So, but Pullens and North, if you can get on them two in the winter time, you can smack them up a bit, which is cool. But yeah, I only ever go up there in the winter. It's hard getting bookings on there. I believe that people like queue up for 3 days beforehand. It's a mental booking system. I bivvy up like 3 days before, and they open up the booking system on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
And
you don't book your swim, you just book a spot on the lake.
Slot. Yeah, you book a lake for a week or something, I think it is. So yeah, it's tough to get bookings on, but after November that finishes.
Yeah. And it's
a bit of a free-for-all. Yeah, it's better to phone, call up and say, is there any availability? Because it's a long old way could be for people. It's in Kent. It's a long way for me anyway. So yeah, it's a nice place to go in the winter for a bite. Yeah, definitely, with a giant as well, which is always ideal.
Yes, that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Cool.
Where do you want to go next, guys?
Got lots of questions. First one is, good little advert for your van if you haven't sold it. Have you sold your van?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's gone.
that's the end of that one then.
Yes, gone.
Right, let's have a little look. So, Gary Little has asked, hi Pecky, what's the best time to see shows in winter?
Spring.
Yeah.
I quite often think like the daytime, like late morning, early afternoon, dusk. I've always found dusk to be like if they're going to put on a decent show rather than just one random fish in the middle of the afternoon, then quite often just into darkness. It depends how well stocked the lake is as well. Like when I fished at Bundy's, really deep lake, not sort of normal to most of the fisheries that I've ever fished, and they showed all night, all night, all through the winter, just relentlessly. And as soon as it got light, just game over.
Yeah.
Other lakes that are more shallow and more normal, should we say? Yeah, I would say dusk is probably best.
Yeah. Curtis Bone has asked, or it might be Bowen, what a lineup this evening. That's what he said. Just wondered if Darrell would share his thoughts on how he feels the channel is going so far.
Well, CarpFix?
Yeah.
Well,
go close.
Sorry, just talking to myself.
You might be better off just holding it and bringing it with you.
Start singing Christmas songs.
Yeah. Well, how come we're the ones in the jumpers?
Yeah, you get the forfit.
Well, I'd have worn one if someone had.
I told you.
Yeah, I haven't got anything like that.
All right, it's fine.
So CarpFix, we launched on New Year's Eve. Obviously had high hopes. It's gone probably better than I could have anticipated. Scotty probably thinks, I was certain it was going to be good.
No,
but it's gone.
I was planning for the worst.
Yeah.
But you have to, because you don't know.
All being well, considering if you think we've been running 12 months, we took on Tom Maker pretty quickly. We had Jacob for a short while. We've now got Lee. We've got our first member of staff, Ashley, young Ashley.
Yeah.
Rob Burgess is coming on as well.
Yeah.
So if you just said to me at the start of the year, all of these things are going to happen, and you'd have caught all those fish out waiting, and I would have said never. So yeah, very, very pleased. Extremely appreciative of the support that we've been given. That when we pressed go on New Year's Eve last year, you've done the videos, you made some films, and you wonder if anyone is interested in giving you $5.99 to watch your content. And it was quite worrying. We didn't have a library, at that point. We had one session film, one big carp story, one rig video. But now, obviously, we're building up an archive of footage, and it's just getting better and better and better. And long may it continue. What about you, Scott? How do you feel?
Well, obviously, it's gone better than I expected.
Yeah.
But I can't. Yeah, like you said, to get to the point where we've got lots of different anglers on. I honestly thought 12 months down the line, it'd be just me and you going out and getting like one fishing video out every month. But from January, we're going to be putting out 3 fishing films every month, and either a Techers video or a big carp story. So for it to get to that level, it's like almost another 3 times, effectively. To do that in 12 months is great for us.
Yeah, all we can say is thank you for the support.
Yeah. Right, let's have a little.
Prize. That's surely a prize.
Yeah. Okay. Kurt, I need to get my little. Whilst I get my notes up, you can answer the next one, which is from Jared. He asked, "What's the best way to get junior anglers on the bank?"
you want to take this one?
To get junior anglers on the bank.
How did you, just very quickly, how did you get into fishing? Because I don't actually know.
Dad used to take me, the same old story sort of thing, really. Where we used to stay in Hackney, we had a canal right outside the flats. So, it was just there constantly, perch fishing and all that, I loved it. So, just out with my dad all the time and what have you. Getting juniors and whatnot in it. There's quite a few a lot of clubs down my way, they sort of hold junior sort of matches and stuff like that, and school matches as well. I don't know if do they still do that? Is that still a thing?
I certainly didn't do it when I was at school.
Really?
Yeah, it was no fishing. Yeah.
Yeah, we do. They did it all the time down our way, which was cool. Maybe because there was lakes near the school or something. I don't know, but I think that looking at your sort of local clubs, I would say, is probably a good starting point.
Yeah.
For getting juniors into it. Your local tackle shop as well, ask there, if there's any sort of, they do like Wednesday leagues sometimes, don't they, and sort of Sunday leagues and sort of going down with, where it's kids matches, where it's not so serious, all the time. Yeah. So probably, asking in your local tackle shop, and looking on the local club waters, I would say, is probably
that's what I used to do. Like every weekend, we used to.
Hang on, you can get your trophy.
No, it's up there. We used to go every weekend and do like a match or something, like pole fishing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like during the week, I think maybe every other week, we used to go to like a local school or something and like learn stuff
About fishing.
About fishing. Yeah.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Wow.
We used to get stuff given to us. Yeah.
I remember my little one started school, and on the lunch menu it had a little picture of a fish on it, so he was all buzzing to go to school first day and everything. When he come home, he was kicking off. I'm like, what's the matter? And he went, I learned nothing about fishing at school today. There was a fish on the bit of paper. I said, that was a lunch menu, son. What are you talking about? He went, what is the point in school?
Right, let's have a little look. Right, okay, here we go. So, Saws has asked a question for you, Mozza. He says, good to see you here. Got my Frimley Pit 4 ticket this winter. Watched your video, really great. Have any tips for the pit? Do you have any tips?
For me, it was putting in lots of bait in there. I filled it in because not a lot of people are doing that. Everyone seems to be setting traps all the time and, spending forever finding spots. And finding these little spots that people, it was a nightmare. So I just thought I'll make my own, and I filled it in over there. Now I was telling people I was using the switch, but I was actually using the SLK because I noticed people
he's going to be on
DNA buying switch pop-ups and sheeping me up. So I'm like, all right, So I was actually filling it in with the SLK. So,
buy a bag of hook baits. I've never done that before, honestly.
So putting in creating your own spots with bait was what was key for me, definitely.
What, wide baiting?
Just filling it in, throwing stick, catapult, anything. I started the furthest walk away, because no one was fishing in there.
This is a normal thing, isn't it? The furthest swim away is usually...
Yeah, that's where I started, because I know, I thought no one's going to fit. Oh, mate, it was the most popular swim on the pond. It was unbelievable. Like, even the guys that were coming down doing overnights, they were going all the way around there, and I'm like, oh, my God. There's 3 swims right in front of the car park. Why are you fishing there? No, I like it round here. So I ended up starting fishing the car park and baiting up there. But, that was key. So I did really well where, for some reason, people tend to cast to these snags along the first bank that you come to on the left. Well, the margins are shallow. Just walk around there and drop it in. Yeah. No one was doing that.
Waders, you mean?
Yeah, just walk around in waders. But what I was doing is all the bank was the trees were undercut, so they used to sit right underneath the trees. But there was no tree in the branches, but they come out quite far. Like a rod length or so. Yeah. So I just reeled the rig up into the tip, or the lead right up into the tip, and then submerged the rod under there, and just back round, bump down, rod back out, walk back. Did really well doing that. Caught a lot of fish, mid-30s and everything from there. Big explosive battles.
Did you do it with the scoop, or was it you had to put the rod under?
Good, yeah. Ideally, you needed the rod under the water, but just because some of the branches sort of semi-touched the surface of the water, so it'd have been a bit of a nightmare with a spoon. So, but that worked well, just submerging the rod under there. Yeah, that was good. But yeah, like I said, keep putting the bait in, and I was still putting a lot of bait in through the winter as well. Perhaps don't go mad on it at the minute because it's cold, of course. Yeah. But sort of had that mindset going into spring that you're going to start baiting areas and whatnot. That's what I would do definitely on there. Zigs were good. Yeah. When the bites completely dried up, no one tended to get on the zigs in there, and then I got on the zigs early, and had a lot of bites.
When you say early, what sort of time?
Well, I say early, sort of like no one else was doing it.
Yeah.
What time of year so this would have been June sort of time, sort of after they've had a spawn up. Yeah. They just shut off the bait for some reason. It was weird. They just didn't get on the bait at all. So I went over to Zigs, and I think I had 3 or 4 that day, and it hadn't done a bite for like 6 weeks.
Yeah, but when you're on the right thing, it flips it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and soon as I put Zigs out, I did actually early on in the spring, I had a 30-pounder Zig in as well, just like the one rod tactic, think I might as well try it, and that worked. So Zigs heavy bait in, but probably wouldn't heavy bait at the minute. Yeah.
Cool. So I got one from Alexander. Maybe you can both answer this one. Hi guys, I've been fishing a deep reservoir with a stock of 80 fish, managed 32 out this year. I don't know if that's a 32-pounder or 32 fish. If he's caught 32, then that's pretty good. Yeah, he doesn't need to be asking questions. I don't know if he doesn't put a pound sign afterwards. I don't know. I was wondering if you had any tips on how to fish it in winter times. Only managed a few in winter so far.
When you said it's a deep reservoir.
Deep reservoir, stock of 80 fish.
I often find that deep reservoirs like that, I'm sort of picturing a lake with no weed. And sort of I can picture them November, December time, catching them deep. Catching them deeper than you would at other times of the year. But once they stop getting caught, once it hasn't done a fish for 3-4 weeks, you can't all be doing it wrong. At that point when no one's catching, then the lake is only getting warmer from the surface. And I tend to think of once you get past January, fishing up in the water. Catch them deep, November, December, sometimes into January, sometimes. But when it shuts off and everything goes stum, then I'll be trying zigs. That's what I would recommend.
Cool. Let's have a little look here. Okay, David Lloyd has asked, are maggots/worms best used popped up or on the bottom?
Go on, you go first.
You use worms much in your fishing, Mozza?
Yeah, I've used worms a fair bit.
I know Maker uses them a lot.
Yeah,
because he on the latest video that we've got coming out in the next 2 weeks, he used them at Linear recently, and he uses them an awful lot, but he used them on that session as well. He doesn't use a lot of them.
No, you don't really need to, pile them in like I've seen some people do. It's very good to get things going, and chopping them up is sort of key, really.
Yeah.
Like mincing them?
No, you can't sort of mince them right up. You want them. So I tend to use like medium dendrobinas, and then I'd say probably chop them up into threes, sort of. Yeah. So you've got sort of that much worm in there. You don't want to be mincing them up so that they're into mush. Getting a bag of castings as well is always good.
Castings?
So that's like the soil that the worms live in, and it's got food in there as well. And I tend
food for the worms?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. So what I tend to do is sort of mash up a kilo, and then I'll add a kilo of castings to that as well, which bulks it out a little bit as well because they're not cheap.
Makes your money go a bit further.
Yeah. And then I'll normally fish like a bit of plastic over the top, maybe with like the free maggot, in the hook, with a small hook inside the plastic, free maggots over top. That works well. I use a 360 rig a lot at the minute as well with the hook inside like a poly ball.
Yeah.
And then just put like 14 or 15 maggots on top of that over the top. Thing is, with the worm rigs, you can use a worm rig where you've got like a little bit of cork or a little block of foam, which has got like an elastic band inside. So what we tend to do, like with the little hook ring swivels, that you do, the bait swivels. Yeah. So just sort of fold over an elastic band in that, and then push your bait over the top, and then you've got the band hanging out the top of the cork. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you can expand that band and then sort of feed your worms into there.
So you just trap them in there?
Yeah, trap them in the band sort of thing. And again, sort of just nip the ends of them off. And that works well, but it tends to move around a little bit, so it can blunt your hook point. So if you're using it over sort of gravel and stuff like that, you've got to be wary of that because it's moving all the time. Hence why I tend to like the 360, because it's always popped up. Maggots are always moving and what have you, and the hook point doesn't get burred over.
When you're making the mix with the worm, I'll admit to a schoolboy error. The first time I tried to use worm, I heard they're really good. Bought 5 kilos, blended the lot up at home before I went. Apparently, it's no. You don't blend them before you go. You cut them fresh, don't you? So that's what I did wrong. But what is the ratio of your mix when you're using worm? Because obviously it's very expensive. What is it? You a kilo of the castings, a kilo of the worm.
Yeah.
And then anything else to bulk it out?
I normally put pint of casters in there, maybe 2 pints of casters in with it.
They're not cheap either.
No, it's all very expensive, this game, but it works, mate. It does work, especially, and it works sort of, it's one of them all year round if you can get away with it. There's not too many small fish about. Obviously, perch love them, which can be a bit of a pain in the arse, but that's where it can be a bit expensive, where you're trying to sort of combat the perch and what have you over the top.
You could be having a nightmare.
You will be having a nightmare. Yeah, exactly that. That's what worms and caster are just,
But you definitely you fishing popped up. To answer the question, you prefer to fish them popped up?
I do, just because it's moving all the time, and 9 times out of 10 it gets snarled up on something or other.
Yeah.
So, especially if you're tight baiting as well, and then your hook's moving, it goes into a caster or something. You've got an ineffective rig then, haven't you? So
okay, let's have a little look here. So Jordan has asked, "Hi Pecky and Mozza, if you could change anything in carp fishing, what would it be and why?"
You go first? Or do you want me to go
change it? Yeah, you go first. I'll have a think.
If I could change anything in carp fishing,
do you want me to come back to this?
Come back to it.
Yeah, all right. We'll try and remember it. Mozza, we've got a question about Rainbow. When will the Rainbow movie be out?
I've not even started editing it yet because I've had like the mammoth Grenville film to do, which has pretty much taken me 6 months to edit it. So, because of the amount of fish that were on it. So that's an hour and 45 minutes, that film, which I've just finished. So the Rainbow film will be my next movie as such.
Some point next year.
Edit. Probably. I mean, the deadline was before Christmas. We heard like Fox wanted it before Christmas. That ain't going to happen, unfortunately. Sorry, Harry, if you're watching.
Sorry, Harry.
So sometime next year. It's my next project to get done as such. So
cool.
Watch this space sort of thing.
Okay, cool. Let's have a little look. I think you used one of these actually before. This is from Mr. Carp. Hi guys, getting a deeper pro for Crimbo. Would you recommend using a leader to save crack-offs, or would it be fine with the Corda spod braid?
Probably best to have a leader on there. They don't tend to work much further than 80 yards out. From my experience, people tell me they can get them to work further than that, but 80 sort of yards, and you don't really need that much force to throw them out there 80 yards. So it'd be more a case of just protecting your finger during the cast, And yeah, why not have one on there? The thin braid, the quarter spot braid strap on your finger, you wouldn't want to be casting.
No. Let's have we've got one for you, you Mozza. Matthew Allen, welcome to CarpFix. When fishing in winter, single bait, solid bags. So, do you use? He's not put that, but do you use single bait, solid bags, or a scattering of boilies? Can you fish solid bags with a lead core ban? Thanks.
Solid bag's not really my thing to be. Yeah, my bag. Yeah, as such, it's not really something I use a lot of, to be honest.
What do you use, mate, in winter? Then are you preference to single
bright
baits?
ones, single, but 360 rigs or Ronnies. Use Ronnies obviously. Chucking bright ones about always works, doesn't it? I tend to find that sort of works after the maggot thing stops.
Right.
I've found.
Yeah. I've got to just butt in really quickly. The funny that you should say that. Bayswater, we used to catch a lot of fish sort of after an algae bloom from sort of end of August, September, October, November, December finished. Because you've been catching, I've caught, let's say me and my pals have caught the last few fish of the season in November. So we carry on using what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then there was a guy down there that never caught anything all season, just chucking about single plastic bits of corn. Suddenly started catching in December, and I'm like, what? What's going on? But like you say, once it gets really cold and their senses all go a bit.
Yeah.
A bright one right in their face is all it needs. Sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I've found that. Once the maggot thing starts tailing off, everyone's piling loads of maggots in, and no one's catching anything. And bright ones. Funny enough, that worked when we were at Pullins doing a winter series for DNA. I think is it Rob Marsh and I think Lee Merritt. They fish it a lot. Yeah. And they were struggling with maggots. Tong went up there, and he will not use a maggot. Ian just hated maggots, and started chucking bright ones. But he absolutely slayed them. Caught a lot of big carp doing that. So little mesh bags. I tend to use them. In the winter, we do an 8 miller, so like little 8 millers and mesh bags. Yeah. Not hook baits, freebies.
Freebies, yeah.
We do 8 miller freebies, so little mesh bag of 8 millers with a bright one in amongst that. That's pretty much what I would do in the winter.
And just following on from that someone else has asked straight after, if you were to boost he's asked bait in general, so not just your hook baits, but if you were to boost your bait at this time of year, what kind of stuff would you?
We do a little light booster for us, but you've got to be careful. They're so potent, like these little
They
boosters.
come in a tiny bottle, don't they?
They do come in a tiny bottle.
Just a few drips.
Yeah, don't be like the amount of people are like, I put a whole bottle in them, I haven't caught nothing. I'm like, I'm surprised. You've got the eyes left. So just a few drips, in there, just to you don't want it so it's taking your head off when you take the lid off as such.
Let's give Matthew some pop-ups. Don't remember we need to we've got 8 more to give away of those, and we'll do the Fox one at the end. Okay. Because I'll just do a random once we've got everyone's questions. Yeah. Let's have a little look. So do you prefer casting onto the spot or boating baits, i.e. a dinghy or motorboat? You both do it as well, don't you? Like you do it on the island, like.
I don't think there's much you can beat than having placed it on the bottom from the boat and seen it. If you've seen your lead land on the spot where you want it, your rig kick out, your freebies all go like that, and then you head back to your swim. When you go to sleep, it's good. When you do it from the bank, when you've done it as good as you can, but still you can't see it. It's not the same, is it? As seeing it, being on the fish, finding the right spot, and having it all laid out as you would.
Yeah, it's amazing. What I love as well is once you've had a bite, like if you've aquascoped, it's crystal clear and you've seen everything down, then you've had a bite, I'm buzzing to get back out to see what's gone on. 9 times out of 10, all the bait's still there, and I'm like, what's going on here? Why is all the bait still there?
I've got a funny story actually. I fished on Baston Fen on the lower levels just before the syndicate started on there. Went for a big scout about in the boat, early April. Found some fish, maybe 15 or so, quickly got out of the area and went out, cornered the snags. There's a spot size of this, like a little white crater in the bottom, put my rig in there, pop up, a few 8 millers on it. About 11 o'clock at night, caught one, 27 pounder, went out in the dark with my head torch on. When I got to the spot, there's a fish feeding on the bay in like 4 foot of water. And I've lowered my rigging behind it while it's still eating. Right? But the second I took the torch off of it like this, the second it come off, I looked back and there was a big eruption. All the bottom was all disturbed. But I caught that fish the following morning at £41.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Yeah, the same
Mega.
one. The one that was eating when I put it in behind me.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Wow.
Love that.
Did you answer that one, Mozza?
So yeah, there's no better, really. You
Yeah.
know, a boat is the way forward without a doubt, and playing fish from a boat is just everything's the adrenaline's off the chain. The minute you, especially at Rainbow, when that rod oops over and that first foot goes into the boat, you don't know what's about to happen. You know, because it is mega, absolutely mega.
What do you do about, obviously, you're fishing to snags, you're going to go in the boat. Do you have to get them away from the snags before you go in the boat? Because if you get in the boat, surely they can just drag you in there.
Yeah, it depends where, like, swims are different. So peg 17, 18, you've got 30 foot of water, and then you're fishing towards an island where the trees have fallen towards you.
Yeah.
So you fish in between them trees and down, and then, so you've literally got, if you're not on that rod by 5 seconds, game over. So you've got 5 seconds to get to that rod, get it out the rest, and then walk back. And you just walk back until you know that they're 2 rod lengths away and then they're in 30 foot of water. Then you can get in the boat if you need to. But from that swim, you can land them from the bank. But the other swims, you've got like this room to play them in. So you need to hold them there. So what you tend to do, that's why you fish up in the trees. So basically you check that the area, how much of an area you've got to play them in with the snags. I tend to drop like 2 leads off with the H blocks and let the boat tow it round, and then you can find what sort of area you've got. You know, so like with the leads on the bottom, hold the 2 H blocks and then just tow the boat about. Yeah. And then you can sort of work out, right, I've got
to feel when you start.
Yeah, right, there's a snag, there's a snag, there's a snag. And then you just build a picture, right, I've only got this room to play him in. You need to then put a pole somewhere where you can go into that pole and then fish down.
Yes.
Where you're fishing to, and then your line ends up in trees all the way back. So when you get the bite, you're holding
them up into these branches on these hooks.
Yeah, because you've got a forest between you and the spot all the way back. You can't have your line in the water, so you need your line out in these trees. So when you get the bite, what you tend to do is I fish a float, so that when you're looking, when you're out in the boat, you can see if the float's moving off. You need to start pumping it, you know, either reverse the boat and get him back to your post so that he doesn't run off into the snags. So it is all a game of chess constantly. It's not a case of just jumping in the boat and going. You've got to make sure that they're not going to run into the snags. Now, sometimes you can let the slack off and they won't move. They just sit there and wait for you. It's weird. But other times, you know, when the rod's going mental, you just got to play them out a little bit before you get in the boat. Yes. So it's not a case of hitting right straight in the boat. You've got to wait and make sure that you know what you're doing's
win the battle.
Win the battle.
Yeah, win
exactly
the exchange, and then go.
Teddy has asked if you could pick one bait out of maggots or casters to have in your fishing bait mix. Which one would it be?
Probably casters for me. I think definitely casters. The maggot thing, everyone's on the maggot thing, isn't they? And it's not a lot of places really where people tend to get casters. They're harder to look after. You know, you've got to keep them as fresh as possible. If you give them too much air, they just go black and end up floating. So, you know, keeping maggots is a pain in the arse, but keeping casters harder. So
thing is, if you spill maggots, it's much worse than spilling caster, isn't it?
Definitely, without a doubt. Or maggots get wet, it's a nightmare. I remember my mate when we were fishing Sandhurst and we were on the island, you know, where you could cross out. I woke up one morning and he had 3 gallon of maggot go over. And they were in his bed, they were climbing the walls of his tent, and he was asleep in there. They were all over it. I'm like, oh, mate, you're having a mare here.
Yeah, I think I've not used casters that much, you know, since the Terry Hearn video. Everyone went a bit caster-mental. I've had a few goes on them and caught really well and seen some mega reactions from the fish. I've also caught really well on maggots, you know. I've fished with maggots more so, but yeah, I think casters are just pretty cool if you've got nice fresh ones.
Yeah,
I like the way they just stay as well. I don't like the idea of maggots crawling off. And
no.
Yeah, I like it to look sitting, you know, rather than buried.
Yeah.
Cool. Ben Weeks has asked, what's next for the channel? Any new anglers joining? We did briefly mention it, but you can mention again.
Yeah, Rob Burgess is joining us. You haven't filmed anything with him yet, have you?
No, next week.
Next week. So Rob Burgess is making his first film for us with Scott shortly this week. Obviously, Lee's just started doing bits with us. Two bits have been on the site. Is there anything else in the pipe that you've already filmed or not yet?
Yeah, well, at the minute I'm harvesting. It's sort of harvest season at the moment. So I've been doing a lot of that for the next diary, sort of what I get up to.
He's not talking about cornfields. He's talking about. He's talking about carp farming.
Yeah, so been doing a lot of that. Loads of that at the moment, delivering fish to places and what have you. But sorting
he stinks
a lot of fish
today.
Yeah,
I must have a blocked nose. I don't, but I can't smell. Must be immune to it.
You've got COVID.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, so, this morning I was chasing fish around in a muddy pond and, it was horrible. But, it's a job that's got to be done sort of thing. I'm helping a mate out at the moment, the boathouse fishery up in Shropshire. He's got a farm there as well as the fishery. And, just sorting it all out. And it's cool, it's wicked, you're getting to sort out fish, seeing how well they grow each year and what have you. So it's a nice job, to be honest, but, some days are tougher than others, of course.
Yeah.
So that will be on the diary. I'm probably going to fish the boathouse for the next diary. And then following that, I've got a rainbow trip that's just landed on my lap today.
What was a cancellation from someone else?
Yeah, well, I've always wanted a winter trip over there. I've never done one, and I've said to me mate that I go with every year because I've got bookings for the next 3 years on there. In the sort of summer month, prime time. I've said to him, look, if ever a winter trip comes up, can you let me know? And this morning he phoned and said, look, got Peg 5, 2-week trip. January the 8th. I haven't told the missus or anything yet. So hopefully he's not watching. Do you want to go? I'm like, yes. So that will probably end up on the diary, that will.
Yeah.
For the next one. So, that's what's going on in the next couple of shoots or vlogs as such.
Cool. Look, I'm just trying to do a million things at once. George has asked, hi guys, do you pick syndicates based on only the fish or the lake surrounding itself, or a mix of both?
Generally, I see a fish that I want to catch, or some fish that I like the look of. Quite often I've joined lakes that I've never seen just on the basis of a few photos. But other lakes I've joined because they're nice lakes. What about you?
Yeah, a bit of for me, at the moment, I fish the Island Lake. Now, the roids in there isn't the loveliest of looking fish, but it can be a 60-pounder at times. So I like the fact that I'm fishing for a 60-pounder, and it's got back up 50. So it's got to be about the fishing as well for me, to be honest, because I don't tend to do a lot of my stuff because I'm out filming for Fox and you're here, there and everywhere, filming for DNA, etc. The fishing has to be... when I go, I want to really enjoy the fishing as well, So, and the Island Lake is perfect for that because there's not many places now that are left where you can do a bit of boat fishing.
Not in the UK.
No, in the UK sort of thing. So that, for me, it is a bit of both there, really.
Yeah.
But the fishing over there is awesome. It's wicked. Like we were talking about, dropping rigs from a boat, it's crystal clear. Yeah. You learn so much, didn't you, doing all that? So it's definitely about the fishing as well as obviously
the end result.
Yeah.
It should be a bit of both. I've always think that it's you've got to enjoy being there. It's otherwise what are you doing? If it's just about the capture. Surely there's more to fishing than just the capture. I started fishing a lot of lakes. In Europe, primarily just because I wanted to get away from my fishing to being sent to if you don't catch the one that you're after, shouldn't feel like a failure. Yeah. I wanted it to be a bit more like how it was as a kid, where you just, God, I don't know anything about this lake. I've had some fish, I caught something. Just enjoy the buzz of hunting around a lake, looking for fish in a cool lake, and if they're cool carp as well, it's a win-win.
Yeah, definitely.
We've had a few people ask about cameras, maybe off the back of your video, but one of the most important things, obviously, like they want to buy a camera, or they know that their missus wants to buy them a camera. A couple of people have mentioned it. What's do you know any good cameras that are for about £500-600 that you would recommend? off the top of your head, you can't.
I can't name them. But Canon and Sony, you know, they'll all have a flip round. Well, I know Sony don't do flip round screens, do they?
They've just started to, but they're expensive.
Yeah.
Ones.
See, I preempted it. So I went on Google because I actually replied to someone the other day, and the cheapest one Canon do is a 250D, and that's got a flip round screen. They do one cheaper, but it hasn't got a flip round screen. Yeah. So the two people,
£500.
Yeah, two people ask for about £600 budget. That is, if I was going to get a camera, that's what I would buy. It's got 24.1 megapixels, which is more than enough. It's £540, obviously without a lens, but you can put whatever lens you want on it then. So that's what I would get. Canon 250D is my recommendation, and obviously based on your Techers film we did, having that flip round screen, if they watch that, they'll see that it's really important, isn't it?
I think it makes it easier for a beginner photographer to be able to. You can get a better idea of what the image looks like on the screen.
You're doing it blind if you can't. If you're there and you can't see. You do loads of them. How do you do it?
No, I've got monitors on the top of mine.
Facing back towards you.
Yeah.
Like what you use for filming.
But which is annoying because it's the opposite way. So if you move left, it goes right. And I'm like, so there's a lot of footage of me like this. What's going on here? So them flip round screens are a must, definitely. I started off with a 70D that had the flip round.
Yeah, that's what I used to use at Corda when we started.
Yeah, that's what I started. That was my first ever camera, and it
really
was brilliant.
sharp they are, aren't they?
Yeah,
for the price point.
Yeah, really nice camera. Yeah. Until I dropped it in the lake.
Yeah,
my little one thought it was hilarious. Always helps.
Right. Okay, Danny Teal has asked, "Hi guys, I like to fish a snowman, and I like a big snowman rig. Would you fish it on a D rig?"
When it says big, is he talking about a big hook bait?
I'm guessing so. Yeah, I'm guessing.
I wouldn't.
What would you do?
If you got a big hook bait like that, I don't like a really big hook bait trapped against the hook. I want to give the hook a bit more freedom from the bait, so I would fish it on a normal hair rig. You know, we're trapped on the shank with either an overhand knot, a ring, or a piece of silicone, whatever you want to do. But I would. If I'm using a big bait, like 20mm and a 15, something like that, you know, a big bait. Well, that's not really big, but it's big for UK terms. I would want a 12, 15mm gap between the bend and the start of the bait. What about you?
Yeah, no, I would say the same, because I think that D would sit funny as well as the hook bait's trying to sit up. Your hook's not sitting properly, is it?
Yeah,
so I would agree with that. You want that separation there, don't you? So that the hook
let them do their thing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right, James Burke has asked, casting singles, do either of you vary the lead size based on distance, or do you not worry about the disturbance caused by the lead?
Me personally, I would generally, if I'm flicking singles at fish, tend to use the lightest lead that I can get away with. You know, if you're seeing fish at 30, 40 yards, there is not a lot of point in using a 3-ounce lead or a 4-ounce lead or 5-ounce lead. Although I would use that if I was trying to land it on a nice spot, you know, because I'd want to hit the clip, tighten the line, fully extend it, get a good drop on the spot. But if I'm casting towards a fish, the most important thing is trying to get the rig amongst the fish without scaring them. So I would try to use a lighter lead.
Yeah. So if you're casting 40 yards, you're not going to stick a 4.5 ounce distance lead on.
I have done when I'm really lazy, but it's not ideal. It's not ideal.
I always prefer a heavier lead because I think the hooking properties are so much better.
So it's slightly opposite, but
so if you want to use heavy lead, always casting past and then reeling, reel your rig up and then back down, you know, into the zone. You know,
good techers. That not many people would do that, but that is good techers.
Yeah, I had to do it funny. We were shooting a winter series and a lake up in Essex, real shallow lake.
Up in Essex, we're in Essex.
Of course we are. Yeah, sorry, I've had like a 6-hour drive here today, so I'm like
6 hours.
Yeah, well, I left Shropshire at 1:30. So, is it Hilton Valley Fishery? I think it's a real shallow pond up there, and that ruined it. Even casting past them, and I was only using a 2-ounce lead, and I almost hit the other bank, and then reeling up and then dropping down. They hated it. I couldn't believe it. But we got like a spoon out. They didn't mind that, and dropping them right on top of fizzers and that big heavy leads as well. They didn't care, but like just for some reason, just drop. Drawing over to, it is shallow. Yeah, it was shallow. So
they're hearing it coming before it's.
Yeah, more than likely. Yeah, it just killed it. Totally killed it. So sometimes that doesn't work. You know, it's one of them.
Yeah.
Cool. Kel has asked, "Hi guys, I'm trying to understand the thermoclines and depths the bigger carp are sitting at. Fishing a low stock circuit water and wanted advice on starting depths for zigs."
Do you want to take that?
Do you do a lot of zig fishing or
Not really, to be honest. You know, I have done. You know, when times are hard, you know, turn to zigs, but always sort of. For me, a lot of the time, I'm like, right, to me nose, I caught loads of fish to me nose. Hopefully, it's the right depth and chuck it out there.
That's how you do it, isn't it?
But yeah, you know, obviously, you need to know the depth of what you're fishing at, and sort of that. It's always better to go down, isn't it? Because you've got to retie a zig all the time. Otherwise, if you want to go the other way, so it's always better to start maybe a foot from the top. Give that a certain amount of time and then keep going down by just cut it back. Yeah, so for me, that's how I would do it and just work the waterways through that.
Cool.
Yeah, just quickly on that. Thermoclines and that, it's all dependent on the lake. You know, if you're talking about somewhere like Bundy's, it's 50, 60 foot. It's not comparable to somewhere where it's 6 foot deep. Sorry. Is it really that quiet?
No, it's, when you talk there, you get an echo.
Right, okay.
It picks up. But if you speak here, your mic will overpower the other two.
Okay. So, yeah, thermoclines now I've not really understood. But from previous experience, when you're coming March, April, May, 4, 5 and 6, 7 foot down from the surface, I've caught most of my zig fish in that bracket. So if you said from 4 foot to 7 foot down, I've probably caught 90% of my zig caught carp that far below the surface. And I think in March and April, February even, that'd be a good starting point.
Yeah, cool. Remember, we need to be giving these away. So
give him a pop-ups,
well, you need to Mozza.
All right,
say if you want to.
It's Christmas, supposed to be giving shit away.
Yeah, we are. We got a lot of stuff to give away, and I don't want to be left with it. So
Scott's going to be fishing.
Yeah. Let's have a look. Reese Williams has asked, after so many years fishing and catching, what keeps you returning to the bank year in year?
One of my favourite things, is going to sound really neggy, is I like spending time on my own. But just in a world where you have a family, you have kids, you have friends, like your phone's going, you're getting emails, you know, that being alone, having a bit of peace and just letting your mind spin at its own rate, thinking about what you want to think about without interruptions, in my opinion, is absolutely priceless. And that is one of the things that I love most about fishing, is just being able to think at my own pace without interruption. I like that.
Mozza?
Keeps me coming. The thing is, it's always hectic when I'm fishing. You know,
so obviously it's a job for you as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's always cameras. There's always something. You know, it's just secondary for me. When the rod goes, I grab a GoPro, I grab something. Yeah. But when that happens, I'm in my own world. You know, I make some right ridiculous noises when I'm playing fish, especially from a boat. Do you know what I mean? The old art, you can almost hear the art through the GoPro. And it's that for me. It's that just raw adrenaline that I don't get from anything else. I love that. The minute the rod oops over.
It's a dopamine thing, isn't it? It's it's releasing that in you. And your body likes that. Yeah,
for me, it's that, definitely. You know, and especially that's why I love about Rainbow, because the bites are like no bites you've ever seen. Yeah, it scares the living hell out of me, and I love that. You know, and going out at night in the boat, there's no better buzz, and you've got like a 60-pounder swimming around the boat in the middle of the night. Yeah. It's flat calm, and all you can hear is your breath going like, man, thinking I've got a giant on here. That is just, for me, priceless, definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. So a little look here. So David Oliver has asked, I look around the UK on Google Maps and I was surprised at how many large lakes and reservoirs there are, especially up north. How come I never see any films about these types of places? You know any answers to that?
It'd be difficult to drag a film crew and go somewhere where you don't know if there's any carp. You know, when you go filming, you try to stack the odds in your favour. Going at the best times, trying to get in the best swims, giving yourself the best possible chance of a result. Going to a lake that's just a pin drop on Google Earth would make a good film if you caught. If you didn't, it'd be an expensive waste of time. So, yeah, I think most people love to go where they know big fish exist. I like the idea of it. I spoke to Scott about this. There's a lot of rivers in France, and they're all riddled with fish, from what I hear. And I really like the idea of going there in a boat or with boat tackle and just pinning somewhere and just trying. But at the same time, if we went there for a week and we didn't catch anything, it's a lot of time to waste, in everyone's schedule, So, yeah, that's probably why a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah. Okay. Patrick has asked, Darrell, when you approach a new water and there are no signs of showing fish, what would be your approach? Do you use more time observing or choose the logical wind? He's writing it weird because he's...
Yeah, I know the question.
Yeah. So would you choose a logical like the wind or previous catches?
I think every lake's different. Ultimately, if you don't know anything, you want physical proof of activity. But, for example, you might turn up at one lake that's got a massive reed bed that just goes, oh my God, they're in there. Or you might see a massive lily bed that you think, yeah, they're in there. Or you might see a massive overhanging willow that's in the sun on the back of it, and you might think, oh yeah, they're in there. But if you go somewhere where there isn't any obvious carp holding areas, snags, anything like that, and you haven't seen anything, then I tend to pick a room with a view, a big open swim, preferably with the wind off my back, especially in the colder water, or in the warmer weather, having the wind into my face. In the winter, you won't look. If it's biting wind in your face, you'll be forced into your bivvy and hiding. So yeah, that's what I do. I pick a room with a view if there wasn't something obvious that made me go, oh, I bet they're in there.
Mm-hmm. Anything to expand on that?
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that, definitely. And like you say, if you're not finding anything and there isn't these carpy areas as such, yeah, you need a room with a view, definitely, without a doubt. Because then you can just react on anything you see, don't you?
Yeah. Timothy's asked, what's the best late December tactics? Fishing deeper water, is fishing deeper water the way forward during really cold conditions?
I think it depends on what previous weather you've had in the run-up to that point. I've just been on a film shoot for Corda to a very, very deep lake called Crown Country Park. I was fishing with Tom Stokes. In the lead-up to this filming session, he'd had a really good run of results through sort of late October, early November. Was catching at will. And then we suddenly had a massive, savage bit of weather come in, and he caught one, I caught nothing. The film got scrapped a day early. And yeah, so it all depends on the weather that you've had in advance. I've caught fish at Bundy's in December, early January, 42 foot of water. But if you've had a really cold early December, it might already be over by that point. So yeah, weather dependent.
Mozza, what was your first job in the fishing industry?
That's a good question.
First job.
Tell us how you, a little story. Is that for?
We'll give away.
Is that for this one?
Yeah.
You told me like the little story, obviously, before we started the live.
Yeah.
Like how did you get into that fishing industry? Kind of.
It was just from sort of taking nice photos, doing vlogs, doing films and stuff. You're doing a lot of free stuff.
Doing it.
Yeah, doing a lot of free stuff, but just enjoying it at the same time. I think that matters, because when you force something, I see people, they message me this all the time, how do I get in the industry and this. I think if you force it, it comes across fake almost.
Yes.
And I think people are just, companies as such, are looking for a bit of realness. Go out and enjoy it. Remember, it's a hobby. A lot of people forget that it is actually a hobby. And that's key, I think, into sort of getting in the industry and taking nice photos, doing vlogs, films, or just doing your bit, for these companies, giving something back to them. That's what's going to get you noticed and stuff. God, I'm just trying to think, really. It was funny. It was with I was started doing the rainbow thing, doing these vlogs at Rainbow, and they were just for my personal self.
Yeah.
And Ian McMillan phoned me, never spoken to Ian at the time, and this was after my first vlog that I'd done on there. He said, we need to make a DVD. Let's make a DVD and we'll sell it in the shops. And, you know, I want to do he was doing a lot of tuitions at the time. So he said, look, you come and film me. We'll call it the tuition. And I'll distribute it out. He was working as a rep at the time and what have you. And yeah, that was pretty much sort of my first break as such as earning a bit of money through the industry was doing that with him. And yeah, it sort of escalated from there then, really. You know, Fox then started giving me products for me to film for them, which I still do to this day, and that expanded as well. And I love doing all that. You know, I sort of do the match stuff as well, which I really enjoy doing because it's just different, you know, that difference all the time. So yeah, I would probably say my first break as such would have been Ian and Fox giving me them products to go out and film.
Cool. Jason has asked, let me just switch this back over, this one. Jason has asked, evening lads, what rigs would you recommend when fishing over deep silt?
Do you want to start?
This is going to seem a bit crazy because when me and Rob Hughes, we did an underwater thing and we were doing the swing back on the leads, so like judging how far the lead sits away, etc. And
was this for Carpology?
No, it was for Fox.
Ones.
It was an underwater film,
yeah.
but it was for Fox. This was, and you know, one of the things is how much do you need to take off your rod for where the bait drops, etc. And we did a whole really good film on it. And when Rob went out at first, he found this area and put this little square box out. And then for some reason he come back in, I think it was too cold or something or other. And then when he went back out, he said it's too silty to film it. It's really deep silt. We're on Raspberry 1. And I said, can I just chuck a rig out? You take a photo of it for me. And I had a sort of semi-stiff fluorocarbon rig, something you wouldn't chuck into silt. It was a 360 rig.
On what sort of lead system?
On a lead clip system.
Yeah.
So a lead clip system. It had no lead core or anything on it. And like I say, fluorocarbon rig, 360. It was overweighted as well. The hook bait was big blob of putty on there, something you wouldn't chuck into silt. So I launched it out there. He took a photo. He come back and he was like, "You wouldn't believe how good that looks out there. Look at this." And it looked
all invisible, like everything
epic.
else. Yeah.
So the lead clip and everything had gone in. You see this tiny little hole where this 4-ounce lead had gone in, and the rig had sort of disappeared with it, where it sort of curled round. You could just see, like in the silt, where it slightly curled round, and all you had sticking out was your hook bait and this 3/6. That was it.
Perfect.
I was like, oh my God, that is amazing. So since then, that's what I use in silt, whereas most people wouldn't use heavy lead in silt, wouldn't use lead clip in silt, and certainly wouldn't use fluorocarbon for an hook link. Yeah. So for me, I've always taken that on board and always used that and caught well doing that because I don't think it's something people associate with fishing in silt with.
Yeah. I tend to fish with braided hook links when I'm fishing in silt, just for the peace of mind.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Dying of COVID.
Done a test.
Done a test, I haven't got COVID. But I don't mind the idea of the lead and that all being plugged in the silt. And if it's not propped up, it's just you get an extra bolt effect from the lead being stuck in the bottom. Just something that I'm confident with.
Yeah.
Pop-ups for that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will find the person. Welsh Boily Basher has asked question for both Lee
Basher
and Pecky. My favourite DNA liquid mixes betaine and SLK, especially for soaking pellets. What is your never leave home liquids?
It's a switch liquid food that we do. It goes on any of our. It's just
like PVA friendly and stuff.
Yeah, they're all every single liquid we do in a range is PVA friendly. But the switch liquid food is something else. Yeah, it's one of them when you open the lid and you smell it, you think, oh, you know, that is going to catch me a carp.
Yeah. What does it smell like, the switch?
It's very sort of. The liquid food, it doesn't tend to smell like what the switch is. It's a very crabby sort of monster, but like a just real sort of pungent, almost fish mealy sort of smell to it.
Yeah.
But the switch isn't fish meal. It's actually a pea protein.
Right.
So it's like a high protein.
But the attractor
bait.
package is.
But the attractor, this liquid food with the switch, I tend to put it on my SLK. which is a fish meal, shrimp liver and krill it stands for. I put the Switch liquid food on that. So the Switch that liquid food is something I wouldn't leave home without, definitely.
What about, is it the hydro wheat I've heard people talk about? Is that one of, it's
Yeah,
one of
that's
these, isn't
that,
it?
yeah.
That's this. That's the hydro
so that's a flavoured one, but the hydro wheat is just unflavoured.
Right.
So it's that liquid that's which for getting maggots down and stuff like that at the bottom is really good for. But the hydro wheat, you can use that just solely on its own.
Yeah.
I think Mark Holmes did very well fishing Deepins, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, he was using a lot of it there, just that hydro wheat, and doing well with it. The great thing about that is you can put it out in the spot and the birds don't get at it, and you can create quite a spot there. When you see it on the bottom, you've almost created a spot, but you can't get hammered by the birds off of. So so it's always, and then the silt smells forever, and they can just keep coming back to it.
Yeah. Peggy?
What sort of
Or maybe just liquids. What liquids do you never really leave home? I mean, I never really see you using loads of liquids.
I use Tiger Nut.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah. I like,
But is there a liquid that you would prefer to use if you were going to use one?
well, I've used a bit of the Smart Liquid. Sorry. You think I know what
I'm
doing?
going to glue it to your face.
In recent times, I've used a Smart Liquid from Mainline. Done quite well at Farriers using the Cell one. I like to water it down, so I've got to put it into a bucket, put some water in, mix it out with my hand so it's sort of thin, and then allow it to soak into the baits, because I don't like the idea it goes in the lake and it sort of washes off in a second and it's gone. I like the idea that it's
Staying there.
It's staying there. But as we've said quite a few times on these CarpFix lives, if tiger nuts are banned and I can't use tigers, quite often I'll just boil up a bag full, and use the water to soak my baits in. And that is edgy. That is, especially if they're banned. It's really, really edgy, yeah.
Cool. How often do you recommend changing your main line?
I think it depends what it is, and how often you fish, and what you're fishing over. For example, fluorocarbon, especially the cord contour one, you can have that on your reel a very long time. It doesn't take on water, so it's not sort of getting wet, drying out, getting wet, drying out. I think with monofilament, the more you use it, wet, dry, wet, dry, wet, dry, I think that it's deteriorating under those sort of circumstances. Fluorocarbon's not. So, yeah, you got to check it. Depends how much what you're fishing over. If you're fishing through weed that's got mussels in, you might need to check it, change it a lot. But I wouldn't put a time frame on it. I think it's all situation dependent, and you just got to be aware of when it's looking ropey. If you're not, when you start tying knots of it and it starts popping, and that's a instant like, well, hang on a minute, we need some fresh line here.
Yeah. Was that?
Yeah, no, I'd agree with all of that, definitely.
Frozen or shelf life boilies?
I don't know a lot about this, but what would you say?
I've always been frozen, but then when Jace made our shelf life, he was sort of one of them. I'd never make a shelf life bait unless I made the sort of preservative, which I don't think it is a preservative. He does something weird and wonderful with it. And when he brought that out, I knew it was going to be just as good as the frozen, or very similar. So for me now, it's shelf life, just because I know Jace has done these weird, the convenience is a lot. At the minute, I haven't actually got a freezer, which is a nightmare because mine went down. So and I've just not replaced it. So yeah, shelf life, it is a lot easier, definitely.
Yeah.
I when I was fishing in Belgium for Masterclass 2 on the Corda video, like in Europe, there's bait companies everywhere, isn't there these days? Like loads and loads of bait companies, and I remember I had these high-impact mainline Panoffis, and all the locals were going, I don't think you catch much on them, mate. And when I was in the right swim and I put a load of them out there, I mowed it down on shelf lives, and they worked, I think shelf lives in the main have got better. I think in the old days, like shelf lives were just colouring, Semo soya and a flavour and a sweetener, whereas I think a lot of the companies are putting a bit of effort into producing quality food baits that are stabilised rather than preserved. Is that what they're saying now?
Yeah, and a lot of them don't actually last forever, do they?
No.
They have got a time frame, haven't they?
And if they sweated up, they'd start turning, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the shelf life baits are as good as these days. I've read articles by Gary Bays. He says the shelf lives that Nash produce, for example, are exactly the same as the freezer baits. I think.
I mean, they don't look any different, do they?
No.
If you compare them, there's not really any difference. Question for Lee: top most used DNA hook bait. What do you use the most?
Probably PB, I would say. Pineapple and bananas.
Yeah.
That stands for.
Do you use the candy sticks?
I don't
I
tend
used to use those
them
all the time.
No, it's not really one that I've used that much.
great.
That's to get round, if they ban foam or plastics on using physiques stuff. Yeah, that's what we do them to get round that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of places that I tend to fish, they don't ban those. PB hook baits.
Yeah.
Give away another ton of pop-ups. We're gonna be keeping these.
Yeah. Let's do. We'll do this one. We do it nearly every video, but obviously people are still asking for it, so we'll just keep doing it. You know what's coming up. What are both of your views with wraps to depth ratio when spodding? For example, if you were spodding to a rig that is in 13 foot of water at 18 wraps, what would you clip your spod up to? That's from Alex.
Go on, you go first.
Yeah, well, with this was what I was talking about, obviously.
Did the video.
I think it was 12, off the top of my head, I'm sure for every 12 foot, I think it was 2 foot off your spod. I'm sure that's what we worked out to. We have that. There is a film out there that we went right into detail. It was a few years ago.
It's on YouTube still, yeah?
Yeah, it's on YouTube, yeah. Underwater Answers, I think it's called,
right.
With Hughesy. And yeah, I'm sure we worked it out that it was 12. It was almost 2 foot to every 12 feet of water.
Right.
I believe that's what that was the key. But with that, you need to be hitting the clip right and everything. The spring back was unbelievable. If you over hit that clip, the amount it shot back in the water was incredible. How far the hook bait was away from it, because we did it like purposely. Yeah, the spring back from it, and then that's different again from mono to fluoro to braid. Yeah. So it's very difficult to get all them things right. I.e., you need to be hitting that clip right, and then I worked it out that it was almost 2 foot to every 12 foot.
Right.
As a rule.
Yeah, I've never really messed about with formulas as such. We've done a little piece on our Farlow's video, and I think the most accurate way to do it, or the thing that most people get wrong, is not consistently holding their rod in the same position. So if 1 minute you're feeling the lead down here, 1 minute you're feeling it down out there, 1 minute you're feeling it down out there, the difference between a rod pointing that way and a rod pointing that way could be as much as 8 feet. I tend to plumb with a leading rod with braid, find my spot, and then once I'm happy with the clip, I then cast out a marker float on that clip and pop it straight to the surface without moving it. And then I cast my spawn to that marker float like that. And I tend to use fluorocarbon because it's not as stretchy as mono. But yeah, there are formulas. I just haven't worked one out yet in 20 or 30 years ago. Yeah.
Right, for both of you, this is from Robbo. What's the biggest game changer in carp fishing that's made the most impact in carp fishing? That is the question.
Not for yourself, but what do you...
No, what do you think has been the biggest... Obviously, you can say like the hair rig and that kind of stuff, but what's the biggest game changer? Is there something you maybe use in your fishing that like you use that... Obviously, you could say tiger nuts because they're the biggest game changer potentially for you.
Maybe they are for me. Basically, I've told this story once before on a live. Is my first encounter with tiger nuts was when I worked in a fishing shop. I was 15. The owner of the shop bought some tiger nuts and boiled them in molasses. So there was like water and molasses, and cooked them in the molasses. And I went to this pasty pond where they climb up the rods. And they didn't eat these tiger nuts. Like, you could cast out half a fag butt in there and catch them off the surface. Lunch and meat, it didn't matter, pellet, they loved it, but they wouldn't eat these tiger nuts. And that followed me around my fishing for a long time. When people said tiger nuts, I used to just be like, yeah, all right, whatever. And then I started fishing in Europe a bit more so, started bulking my bait out with them, and then seeing them being passed in the sling so frequently. I kept seeing them in the sling, and then I started using them. yeah, in the last few years, I've caught some fish on tiger nuts. I tell you, since 2014, really, I've used them a lot. I just don't think, because people aren't sponsored by tiger nuts. You know, we're all associated with bait brands. Most people these days have got a Ronnie rig on with a white pop-up, a yellow pop-up, or a pink pop-up, fishing with boilies. These rigs are super, super efficient. And if you think all of the pressured day ticket lakes, club lakes, syndicate lakes, the fish have all been hammered on chod rigs, hinge stiff rigs, Ronnie rigs. I think sometimes just something a little bit more subtle, especially if it hasn't been done to death, it's edgy. So I would say tigers for me.
Yeah.
Sort of sticking with that theme.
Go a little bit closer to your mic.
When people were using a lot of tigers down our way, like Ringwood area where I did a lot of my fishing, it was peanuts for us. That was our biggest edge. Using, the wild bird peanuts, using them.
And how do you prepare them, and how long do you keep them on the bank? Because unlike tigers, they don't keep as well.
No, we always kept them in the water that we cooked them in, so that they were always submerged. But what we found, getting it right, was so that you never had to add water to it through the boiling period, and then when you put them back in the bucket, if you add like 2 centimetres,
they're like in their own.
That is it.
Right?
It was game on. Then you're thinking, right, I've got this right, because every time you add a bit more water to it, it never felt like you got that same reaction that we used to, like when we used to fish like the roach pit and that. And it was every time, like me and my mate Percy, who I used to fish with a lot. If you add that sort of centimetre above, you're like catching them.
It's almost like you've got I don't know what the word is, like a broth that you've simmered down this broth to the perfect level. It's at its most concentrated if it's just right. If you've got too much in there, it's not quite as concentrated, is it? No.
So exactly that. And that was a game changer for us, big time, using them, keeping it quiet from everyone else. Slayed them up. It was wicked.
Edgy.
Teddy has asked, question to all. I'm going away for Christmas and I'm going to download some CarpFix videos. If you were to recommend one video to download and to watch offline, what would it be? First of all, you can download anything you want and as much as you want. So I mean,
the question is, what video?
Yeah, like what's your pick of all the videos we've done? You can be biased and say Mozza video.
No.
If you want to.
We had a lot of good feedback about the Yateley
stories.
The Yateley stories. So that was, if you just want something that you haven't got to watch and you want to listen to, that could be one for you. But I think we had a lot of good feedback about the Prune video, didn't we? A lot of good feedback.
Just a relaxed kind of video.
Yeah, nothing.
Still filmed it as I normally would.
Yeah.
Some advice in there still.
It depends. Like that was light-hearted Prune video, light-hearted, enjoyable carp fishing. Whereas some of the big carp stories are give it a bit intense. Like
You have to listen. You can't be in and out.
Yeah, but I have to tell it in that way to hope people stay engaged.
Yeah. So Yateley big carp story videos.
Yeah, or the Prune video.
Yeah.
The Wazing videos. I was. Yeah, buzzing about them. Tom Maker at Linear.
Those Wazing ones, we did them in a way where they're still they're kind of a bit of a hybrid of a normal film and a big carp story. So you still have to listen to some bits, like to understand the full story. You can't just the video I was going to say was the Layer Pits one we did at Winter, because that's
fun. Yeah,
it was a great video because it was we were there. We did days only, and we had fish every day. We stayed in the same swim, but you consistently had action. It was just quite a nice way to film.
Yeah.
So
it depends what you like, doesn't it? It's all good saying what I'm going to say. Yeah, Wazing caught those big ones.
That Prune one though is a good shout.
Yeah.
Very good
For
shout.
me, it'd be the Conenbrook story personally.
Right.
I love because you told things on there that you might not get away with sort of on something like in the industry as such. Like you tell everything, like especially like when you was you tried to quit smoking and then you needed to back in and you left your rod out and walked around. You know, I love things like that where you can tell someone's told you the truth from get-go because you've done things that you perhaps shouldn't have done, ethically as such.
At the time, I wouldn't say it, but
because
it was 2007, I feel like I can say it now. Enough time has elapsed to...
I love that story. Wicked. Absolutely awesome.
But so Teddy, if you want to download your videos, I believe it's still the same. They stay there for 30 days. and then they will disappear. But then you can still go back and re-download them if you want. It's just so it doesn't eat up all of your data, all of your memory.
On there?
I think it's unlimited.
What, you can download as many videos as you
as
want?
long as your phone can take it.
Can hold it, right?
Yeah. There's no limit. You can download them via Wi-Fi or via cellular. You just have to go on to the setting to turn. If you want to download via cellular, go onto your account settings. And click the option where it allows you to download on both, basically. Because some people, have unlimited data, so they can download still. So let's have a little look. I'm going to give Teddy a... So I think we've done 2, 4, 6, 8. We've got one more left.
One more.
And then we'll do all the draws, all right? You talked about this actually recently, where a lake that's been drained, and did you see it or did you see pictures?
I've just been to.
You saw it.
I went to. Danny has got an embryo lake called Baston, which isn't. It's not sort of. There's no waiting list available. This is like friends only, basically. And it was it's a bit of an orchard. It was apparently like loads of trees growing out the lake. And I heard it had been drained, so I nipped up there the other day to have a look. And it was pretty mega, even though certain stuff is there, I'm pretty sure it'd be hard to find when the lake was full. I think it'd be really hard to find because of the weed involved and whatnot. But there was this bar that was about 20 yards long, and it was rock hard on top, like stones like just pitted into the ground that were never going to come out, and this massive just a hump just in front of this bar. I was thinking, when you refill that up, surely someone's got to put those canes up, like the ones that rise up with the water level, like goalposts on the end. So you know exactly where they are. Even with photos, it'll be
hard to.
I want to know exactly. I'm on the point of it, right on the top. But it's mega to see, mega to see. The lake completely empty.
Just doing something. So the question was, one of the lakes on my syndicate ticket has recently been drained. I want to take a marker rod and look for some good carp holes. What are the key signs can I look for?
Carp holes. Carp holes would be almost impossible to find by plumbing. Have you ever found a carp hole by plumbing, or only from seeing it from a boat?
I don't really use a marker a lot, to be honest. I use a bit of lead on the end of the line, and I don't.
It'd be really hard to find one, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
really
because it depends how deep the hole is for a start, doesn't it? I mean,
with an echo sounder, you'd find them more.
So, yeah, definitely, yeah. But finding them, obviously you'll have a bit of depth variant with the marker flow, so you could do it.
But that's trial and error, isn't it? You'd be stop, start. Difficult.
Yeah,
difficult
it would be
to
difficult.
locate.
Yeah, definitely.
But if you find them in the lake, you could walk your lead out, put it in the hole, walk back to the bank, clip it up, and you'd be more or less there.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. Should we do some draw? Should we give Richard that last tub?
You can do.
Yeah, Richard.
My throat is absolutely.
Yeah, we'll call it a day soon, mate. We'll just we'll get these draws done. Right. So we've got. Let's do. Get this other screen up. So we've got 10. What have we got? You go through it while I get this ready.
We've got 10 Corda large compact camera bags. Large and compact, you can't really say that in the same sentence, but that's what they are. They're the Corda compact camera bag in the large size. Multiple compartments, the one that I use in the Peckers Techers video. A nice bit of kit.
Cool. Hopefully people can see this all right on here. But basically I've got the phone on there mirrored onto the screen. So I'm just going to press this and do 10 names. So first one. Ashton Watkins is the first one.
Ashton Watkins.
I'm going to take a screen. I'm going to take a screenshot.
Ashton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. He lives around my way, I think. If that is him.
Yeah. Keep a tab on how many we're doing. All right. You do that, Mozza. So we're doing one. Yeah. Keep a tab because I'll forget. Lee Roos is the next winner. Will Young. Like the singer.
I don't know him.
Definitely not.
Right, it's 3. Aaron Bennett.
That name rings a bell. 4.
Thomas. I'm not going to pronounce your full name, but it's Thomas
Pash
with a
Holek.
Z. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
How many is that? 5?
5.
Matthew Allen. I think it's been in the chat tonight.
Matthew Allen. Well done, Matthew Allen. 6.
Lewis. Go on.
Lewis Gallas, I would say.
Gallas.
Gallas.
Something like that. Screenshot you.
7.
Yep.
Scott Kelly.
8.
David Scott.
Is that 8 or 9?
9 now.
We're on last one now.
Last one.
Yeah.
I'll just have to get another if not. Okay, I'll give you that one. Go on.
Where's on the screen?
Yeah.
Keita, Delgado, Fortes.
There we go. That's
definitely
10.
not UK, is it?
No. Right. And then the next thing we're going to do is scroll. I'm going to tell you what you can do it. Can you just do that? Can you just scroll up and down everyone's names?
Just for the bite alarms?
Yeah. So hold on. No, go on. You
have to hold it down.
Yeah. Let me do it. Let me do it. I don't want you to get rid of it.
Go on,
Let me get rid of that. Right. I'll just scroll. Just Mozza, you tell me. Let me get it going. Right. Okay. Stop. Jordan Fuller.
He's just won himself some alarms.
Nice.
Jordan
Well done,
Fuller.
Jordan.
Right.
It's not a bad prize for just asking a question. Are these the ones that Tom Maker
uses
yeah.
little receiver as well. Yeah, they're wicked alarms, to be fair.
You use the RXs, you?
I do, yeah, but obviously I had to film them product-wise and what have you, so, I used them for quite a while whilst we were product testing them and what have you, but, yeah, really good alarms. Receivers really good on them as well.
So everyone that's won pop-ups... Actually, I think Matthew's won 2 lots of... He's won pop-ups and one of these. So we've got the winners of the pop-ups are... Curtis Bone, Matthew Allen, Kel 1977, Timothy Robertson, Jared, Jason Tudge, Welsh Boily Basher, Alex Fair. Everyone can put nicknames in, by the way, now, so I get both. Alex Fairhurst, Teddy Bowen, maybe. Apologies if I'm getting any of these wrong. Richard Beals, and then Jordan Fuller has won the alarms.
Nice.
That's it. So coming up, what have we got? We've got a big carp story coming up from the Black Mirror.
Is that the next film, is it?
In the next 2 weeks, it'll be.
What's the next film?
Well, we're still a little bit. We don't know which way around
to
put.
Secret.
We don't know which way to put them. I think the best thing to do is Christmas Eve is put a big carp story because it's a bit of Christmas Eve kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Sat at home.
Yeah.
So we'll probably do that. So it might be Tom Maker at Linear next Friday, and then a big carp story, and then the aquarium with you and Derek, which will be probably a near 2-hour film.
Yes.
Wicked.
Yeah.
And then we're back into January.
Yeah, it's been a mental 12 months, but that's some good content. That is. The Black Mirror story is obviously the biggest carp that I've ever caught in my life. So hopefully I've done it justice. And the aquarium film, we caught loads of carp, too many carp. I feel sorry for Scott editing it.
So like literally, it's like you with the
Grenville.
There is so many. Like, I think when we were there was like 9 hours of footage to go through.
Yeah.
Which doesn't sound like a lot.
But it's,
when you're pressing record, it's just like it's a lot of footage.
So
that's just from just one camera.
Yeah, wow, really?
Yeah.
Crikey.
So what did you catch at Grenville in this mega haul?
Between me and Bart, we had 37 fish over £30. Wow. Like I had.
Were you in the lodge?
No. Crowe was in lodge.
Yeah.
Pretty much blanked. He had one. Whilst he was staring at me and Bart slaying him. So it did hurt him a little bit, bless him. Yeah. But mate, it was off the chain. Some of the carp we caught were like just, proper fish of a lifetime, gorgeous looking things, proper scalies, lovely. One morning, I mean, I've had a brace of 40s. And a 38-pounder. And then Bart's walked in the swim. I'm like, mate, can you give me a hand, like, filming these? He said, I got some fish next door, mate. I said, what have you got? And he went, I got 4 40s next door. I'm like, oh, mate. So we got, like, 7 40s on the bank to even deal with.
Wow.
Like, at first light. And it just went off, mate. It was unreal. Wicked time. And that's now finally done because it's been like the bane of my life for 8 months.
It's always a relief when you get a big film done.
Massively, yeah, definitely. So, it's all sort of been approved. Everyone's happy, and be nice for the public to see it next.
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Cool.
Yeah, all done?
Right, yeah, you can wrap it up. My throat hurts so much.
All right. Thank you for watching, everyone. We will see you in a month's time in January. Have a lovely Christmas. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all that stuff. And we'll see you in January. Thanks for joining as well.
Cheers. Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. See ya. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.